right, we're gonna take off. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Susan Langer, and I'm the founder and CEO of the company Live, Give, Save and Products Save. And I am delighted to be joined by my colleagues, my partners, my summer interns, and our friends to share our experience of the power and potential of intergenerational leadership and its practical application in real-world business. Live, Give, Save was started out of Red Wing Ignite, the Red Wing Ignite Accelerator in 2016. And we've been building, testing, and improving our business along the way, leveraging the resources from around the region, the state, and the nation. Like most startups, we bootstrapped as we continued to seek funding. We were fortunate to be selected one of the first 20 startups to receive an innovation grant from Launch Minnesota earlier this year. And that was right at the time when COVID hit. So we made the decision to remove Spave from the App Store to preserve cash and to use the grants to do market research and to improve our user interface. Both were important investments to enhance the user experience. The impact of the pandemic also impacted colleges and universities as corporations canceled their internship programs, leaving thousands of curious minds without opportunities to gain experience and strengthen their resumes. Because of our relationship with the E1 Collaborative, which for those of you who don't know, that's an ecosystem that's designed to enhance regional connectivity among builders and stakeholders in 11 counties within southern Minnesota. We were approached by these higher ed institutions in our region to tap the talent of their eager students. And what an experience that was. I am thrilled to have our panelists here to share their perspective on the benefits and the lessons learned of this engagement model. And for me, it was the highlight of my summer, truly. And it went by way, way, way too fast. I have long been a fan of intergenerational engagement, so this was a total gift to me. So, like me, our leadership team is comprised of mature and seasoned veterans within technology, marketing, finance, and philanthropy. The students represent a segment of our target audience, giving us the opportunity to extract valuable insights at a pivotal time. So we paired each intern with a seasoned leader that aligned with their field of study. So we had created a 90-day plan. We also had assigned projects with milestones, and then we had weekly meetings to track our progress. And try as we might to define those projects as finite as we could, as a startup, the wheels on the bus might go round and round, but they often come off. So we had to pivot and we had to adjust often. With that, let me ask our panelists to share their experience, their insights, and their lessons learned. We will start with the representative from the schools, and I will ask each of you to please introduce yourselves, to share your name, the school you represent, your role, and then if you would please share what you see as the value that was created through this type of unique engagement with the student body. How did you identify the students? How did you know that it would work for them? And what were or are your concerns in implementing this kind of program in a university setting? And I'll start with you, Will.
All right, thank you, Susan. Yeah, I'm Will Kitchen. I'm the Director of Innovative Community Engagement and Startup Winona State at Winona State University. And I run the Entrepreneur Program for WSU. My students started coming to me right around the time COVID hit, and said, hey, I've lost my internship, I've lost my job, or my job offer's been rescinded. Could you help me? So I thought, well, okay, I'll just crank up the network and expand the network and reach out to as many places as I know. And Susan, you were the first one that I thought of, because Andrew had come to me and asked if I knew of any opportunities for an internship. And I just started making the connection. And these opportunities are huge for our students as well as for the startups. It gives the students this experiential opportunity to learn and get involved and understand what it's like to be in a startup. So maybe later on they want to start their own companies or work for startups. And what the businesses are getting are these students that are incredible, they're passionate, energetic, intelligent, they've got skills, and they can come in and provide some of those resources that startups need to help them get off the ground. And then, how do I identify my students? This wasn't in my job description to do internships. And I just started connecting students who came to me with the opportunities, and then faculty would come to me, and I would start getting students from faculty throughout Winona State to work with or to help develop internships or relationships, and I match them. I mean, I'm my own little network area here, just connecting the right students to the right opportunity at the right time, and so far so good. Then, you know, why? I guess I've had no concerns at all about this because I'm new to higher education. I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know if I'm making a mistake, but I'm certainly doing some things that are helping students and are helping startups in our region. And so far, no one's fired me, so everything seems to be going okay. With that, I'll just turn it over to the next person.
Yeah, great. That would be Margaret. Would you please share that?
Sure, Susan, thank you so much for having us here today. Can you hear me okay? Excellent. Okay. So I am the Associate Director of Entrepreneurship and Outreach at St. Olaf College. We're a little different from Winona State in that we are a small liberal arts college, about 3,000 students. We do not have a business school. We do not have an engineering school. And so our entrepreneurship program actually lies underneath the Piper Center for Vocation and Career, which is a fairly unique model when it comes to entrepreneurship programs. And so when everything happened with COVID, we started to hear, as Will mentioned, a lot of students losing these internships they had interviewed for and worked so hard for. We kind of saw that coming. And the wonderful thing is last summer, we were able to implement a new program because of some donor funds called Entrepreneurial Scholars. And the whole idea behind this was to provide startups with a resource and to provide our students an experience to work in entrepreneurship and figure out what they like about it, what they don't like about it, whether or not they want to be entrepreneurs. And so we were lucky enough to have that foundation already in place. We just had to pivot the program. Instead of placing students at the startups themselves, we had to pivot it to a virtual program. Also, because we knew so many students were losing internships, we were able to find the funding to almost double the size of the program. So we went from 10 students to 18 students in the summer of 2020, which was great. I really think this program has been so successful because students are able to work with seasoned veterans, and they're bringing in these great new ideas, just like creative, innovative, entrepreneurial students do so well. And that intergenerational piece really helps to make that startup and that product better. So what we love about this program is the startup is really receiving a fantastic resource, and the student is getting that experience not only in the working world, but learning from all different generations. And I'm trying to remember what that last question was. I think it was around, did we have any concerns about implementing? We did not. And having our partners, you know, our startup partners that we have being part of the E1 ecosystem, all of that was just, it made it so much easier to identify the companies that we could work with. Fantastic resources. And then our students actually went through a competitive process in order to gain their internship. And with that, I will turn it over to Christine.
Great. Thank you, Margaret.
Thanks, Margaret. Well, I'm Christine Beech, and I'm from St. Mary's University, Minnesota, where I serve as the Executive Director of the Gabara Institute for Entrepreneurial Studies. So that's quite a mouthful. I'm also a professor in the business department. Our university has campuses in Winona, Rochester, and the Twin Cities. So we serve a diverse student body of over 5,000 students. We have internal programming and educational opportunities for our students, as well as separate external educational offerings for entrepreneurs in the community. Are you getting feedback from me?
Yeah, if you're not speaking, if you wouldn't mind muting, that would be great. Thank you.
Perfect. So one of my primary roles through the Kabar Institute is to design experiences for our students that'll connect them with the entrepreneurial ecosystem, and that'll expand their opportunities to learn from the startup community. So some of those experiences might be hosting entrepreneurs on campus or virtually so they can share their experiences and the lessons learned through presentations, and that's something Susan has done on our campus. We also look for internships and mentorships where the students can learn doing and providing an experiential component to the learning process. We know that works well. But so overall, we're always looking to connect with entrepreneurs who might be willing to place a student, speak to our students, or share their experiences in some relevant way, right? So they understand what the startup world is all about. So as far as internships go, when we look at the possible ways our students can learn, we found that internships in a startup organization provide invaluable learning experiences for the students. The opportunities and the scope are much broader than in a small startup than they would in a big corporation, and they get to really apply the learning from the classroom, and that gives them the confidence and the experience they need to make wise choices when they graduate on what they want to do. The world is open to them. So as far as how to find the students, so we run an annual pitch competition. It's been a great place to connect with our undergraduate students who are passionate about entrepreneurship. And for example, Stephany, who's here on the call, she won the pitch competition soon after arriving on campus and has been an actively engaged member of the campus entrepreneurial community. She's the president of our entrepreneurship club. She's a double major in entrepreneurship and marketing. So the opportunity for her to serve in a marketing role in your organization was a perfect fit. It's a real combination of her academic competency, her leadership skills, and her passion that made me confident that she would excel for you in this internship. As far as concerns in placing an intern, you really just want them to have growth opportunities. You don't want them to be misused or not used at all. And there are really three ways typically in a university setting that you can get an intern. If you're a big company, you might be able to have the HR and management structure to create an internship for credit. And that's tough for the startup world, but students have to pay tuition too, so there's an offset for them. The second way is they can participate in an internship for pay. That's great for the students. They get the experience and they get paid. But sometimes that's very difficult for a startup to fund a paid intern. So the third way is that they participate in the internship for the experience, and that's what they've done here. And really, that we just have to make sure it provides huge value for that student, right? And that we have an excellent relationship with the organization is what makes that work. So I'd say if other founders are interested in this kind of a model, the best way to pursue it is to develop relationships with people like Will, with Margaret, with myself, and then we can work together to ascertain how to find the right fit for a quality internship that would be of value to your organization and to the student.
Fantastic, Christine. Thank you. Thank you so much, Will, Margaret, and Christine, for sharing your perspectives from the school standpoint. Now I want to turn to our leaders from Live, Give, Save, to Darlene and Tom. If you would please introduce yourselves with your name and your role with Live, Give, Save, and then tell us what you saw as the key takeaways from your experience working with the interns. What made it work? What might you do differently? And what advice would you have to other startups and entrepreneurs to make the experience as rich and beneficial as possible? And Darlene, I'd ask you if you would start off.
Hello, my name is Darlene, and I am the Chief Financial Officer for Live, Give, Save. And I'm responsible for all the accounting processes, financial reporting, and forecasting the future business performance. This past summer, I had the pleasure to work with Megan Geelan as a financial analyst intern. And what I believe made things work well for Megan and I is, first off, we had put together a roadmap or a plan that we could reference each week when we met. We had laid out different deliverables that we were looking forward to delivering over a few months. Secondly, Megan and I met formally twice a week to review the status of her progress with some of the assignments. And I always encouraged her to call or text or email if she was stuck or just needed a quick call to verify if she was on the right track. And I was lucky enough that she was thankful, or not thankful, she was confident. I was thankful she was confident to approach me, and as needed, just so she could keep things moving. The third thing I think that worked real well is that bringing Megan's younger education and perspective was refreshing to me. Although the two of us probably had similar curriculum, when I went to college, my education is a bit dated. And so that just brought me a fresh perspective. What I might do differently, it was in my planning of utilizing Megan's talents, and I probably would have allowed more time in my plan to do some more formal quality testing. She develops some very integrated financial models to help us through the summer. And I kind of cut that piece short at the end of the intern. And so from a planning perspective, I wish I would have done that a little bit differently, but that's really on me. My advice for other startups or entrepreneurs is to seek out internships to help boost the execution of the business plan and bring in fresh ideas and new energy into those day-to-day activities of a startup company. I myself had a bit of a myth that, interns were just for well-established entities, and that's not the case at all. In our experience, they work great in an entrepreneurial setting to move some stagnant activities forward and just give it new life. So it was an excellent experience.
Great, Darlene, thank you so much. Appreciate that. I know you and Megan had a great relationship working together. Tom, would you share your experience with us, please?
Sure, happy to. I am Tom Gabriel, and along with a few other things, I'm Chief Brand Officer for SPAVE. And I've been involved with SPAVE since the very early days, and it's kind of exciting that we have reached this point, watching it evolve and grow. In terms of my experience with Stephany, I have to say, first of all, in all honesty, I was probably initially less than thrilled at the prospect of working with an intern, because in many previous experiences, I think that interns for me created more work than added value, and that was at my own company. I am happy to report that in this case, though, from my very first meeting with Stephany, very different experience. Stephany's skill sets, her experience, and her confidence level were of truly immediate and obvious value to me and to the organization. So in fact, during our initial interview, Stephany expressed her desire and her confidence to jump in and start making things. And so I was like, okay, sure, go ahead. Within the first 2 weeks, she was generating ideas and creating PowerPoint presentations for our investor audience. And because she's also a prime target, her ideas and her perspective, similar to what Darlene said, very, very valuable and refreshing to get to a younger and different perspective. But I was probably most surprised at the level of Stephany's existing working skills that she had acquired in school, especially in the areas of design and technology. And it seemed that whatever classroom projects she was involved in really translated immediately into the real world, which was not my previous experience. So what would I have done differently? Not much, other than maybe tried to get a little more out of her before she left us. But it was pretty great. And what advice would I give? I guess working with interns, first and foremost, find the right intern, and really do your due diligence. That goes a long way. As tempting as it is, do not hire your niece or nephew or your neighbor's kids. They may be great, but I would still resist that impulse. And then, once you do hire an intern, I'd encourage you to really ask them exactly what they want to do and what skill sets they think they bring and what they can do, and listen very carefully, as I did this time. And of course, I'd end by saying you need to do your share, which is ideally to collaborate the same way you would with any coworker and provide tough love, support, and feedback.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tom. That was awesome. And now for the real stars of our show, we we seriously refer to our interns. I mean, I don't even like that term intern. They are rock stars, superstars. They are the stars. It was fantastic. So I would just ask that Indri and Megan and Stephany, if you would share your experience, please, with us, that would be great. Starting with Indri.
Okay, thank you, Susan. So I will start by introducing myself. My name is Diby. I'm a senior student at Winona State University. I'm doing a bachelor in data science, a bachelor in statistics, a minor in computer science, mathematics, and bioinformatics. So I think what was most interesting for me over the summer when I work at Live, Give, and Save was the process, right? When I say the process, I'm talking about the process that goes from the conception of the idea to the physical result. So, because when I started as a analytic engineer intern, we didn't have much on the table, but we have the vision of the end product, how we want the product to look like, and we were focused on the MVP, the minimum valuable product. So I think what was important for me was the step, right? How we went from idea to idea, from action to action, all the decision that we took from that period to build something that can add value to people's life. I think that what was more important for me. So now, when it's come to my experience with startup, I think I have the chance to learn new skills and improve my skills. Working for a startup give you the opportunity to learn new skills, and there is the advantage of you taking responsibility because there is many things to do to make the company go on the fast pace. So, you can take responsibility for many tasks that can be assigned to you. And I think it's also a good environment to grow professionally and to see the impact of your work and your idea, in the community, because you're working for a startup that just a number of people that are working together, and when you make a move, you can see and feel how the move impact the community around you. So do inspire me to build my own company. As a member of the Winona entrepreneur ecosystem and Winona startup, I aspire to be an entrepreneur, right? But I think in the future, this is the challenge, I will offer myself, to build my own company. But I think from now, I'd rather be around successful leader like Susan, successful entrepreneur, successful CEO, so I can learn from them, learn the skills, get the tools, and maybe later in the future, trying to take a chance and see how it's going. Working at Winona State over the summer was a very great experience.
Great. Thank you so very much, Indri. We've loved having you for sure. And one you. Megan, you're up next.
Yeah, hi. So I am Megan Geelan. I'm actually in my final semester at St. Olaf College right now, and I'm an economics major with an emphasis in finance. Through this internship, I was able to take the knowledge gained in my finance courses and apply that to the financials of this company, as Darlene was saying, in building these models, working closely with her. I also felt that this opportunity helped me grow professionally in how to work with others in a professional setting and what it really takes to be a part of a collaborative team. I plan to bring this experience with me into my final semester and use these entrepreneurial skills I've learned to develop from working with this startup company to better prepare myself for the recruiting season for full-time positions. I truly believe that this experience better prepared me for the interviewing process and for full-time positions, because I can touch on these experiences from the summer and help advocate for myself at these larger corporations. How did this experience shape my vision of a startup company? I honestly never really knew what it really takes to start your own business until this experience. And I got to see firsthand how many people and resources it really takes to launch a successful business. Again, I gained that hands-on experience working with the financials of this company, and I realized what it takes funding-wise, team members-wise, experience-wise to have a successful company. Did it inspire me to consider starting my own company? If so, how? I think that it definitely made me think more about becoming an entrepreneur someday and what characteristics it really takes to be a successful entrepreneur. I never really considered starting my own business, but I definitely found that it was super rewarding to work for a startup company, especially one that stands for the same values and missions as I do. I thought that it really gave us the opportunity to see the ins and outs of business firsthand, which is something that I'm not sure I would have seen interning for a large corporation this summer. I would definitely recommend to any students to experience this startup environment as an intern, especially those students interested in entrepreneurship.
Fantastic, Megan. Bravo. Miss Stephany, would you bring it home?
Yes. Hi, my name is Stephany Beck. I am a senior double majoring in marketing and entrepreneurship at St. Mary's University of Minnesota. I go to the Winona campus, and then over the summer, I served as the marketing lead for Live, Give, Save, and I assisted our chief branding officer, Gabriel. So going into practical applications, I'd have to say that I had 5 major deliverables over the summer, and I want to highlight 2. The first one I worked on was our investor pitch deck, and I really enjoyed this because not only could I use like my entrepreneurial spirit, but I also could do different creativity freedom. I had a lot of help and guidance, of course, from Tom, but it was great having those weekly meetings with the whole team, being able to say, like their different niches, whether that's like finance, technology, and being able to put them into one. And then the second deliverable I'd like to highlight is the 1-page executive summary. I think I'm most proud of this. Although I didn't work on it as frequent as the pitch deck, I really liked the outcome for this. I had the freedom of the design and branding, and I was able to connect really the investor pitch to tell the story. So you can see from beginning to end the Live, Give, Save, SPAVE story. I definitely think this SPAVE at a glance took a 180 spin, so anybody reading the summary will see the full story no matter if you had prior knowledge about the app and company or not. Moving on, coming from like an application to school and work. Application to school, this internship definitely had enhanced everything that I've been doing in the classroom. I know Dr. Beech and Tom talked a little bit about that before. I've taken a lot of my major classes and I've been given a lot of the similar experience, but on a smaller scale. So like, for example, in one of my marketing classes, we are assigned to create an investor pitch for a pre-existing company. Yes, this was very cool, but it was nothing like being able to actually do it for a company that you're a part of. I actually had the opportunity to, over the summer, Susan invited me to sit in an investor pitch, and one of the investors actually asked me questions as well. So definitely very hands-on. Going forth for a career, again, with the similar to the application for school, it gives me the real world experience. I also enjoyed working with technology, and then being in COVID-19, having that virtual aspect is something that not everybody can experience going on. Shaping my vision to the startup community. I think the startup community is very interesting. Like Dr. Beech said before, I was involved very early on in my college career with entrepreneurship, and I love that being a part of this experience. You can see that it's very intergenerational. No matter the age, you can kind of connect with others if you have the one similar in passion. And that goes along with considering starting your own company. Originally, I was all very super gung-ho and like, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to own my own company. But now I really enjoy being a part of it, but I think I'm going to do it more as a side gig aspect. So maybe in the future, maybe not. But overall, a very good experience.
Fantastic, Stephany. Thank you. And you're right, that executive summary did take a 180, didn't it? And we're using it constantly. It's fantastic. So I applaud all of you. Thank you so much for participating. I'm going to open it up now to see if there are any questions from our audience. They could put them in the chat. We'd welcome your questions. I also just want to highlight again the power and the importance and significance of our partnership with E1, the E1 Collaborative. Again, that's that ecosystem here in Southeast Minnesota. It was inspired by Launch MN. And for me, I wouldn't be where I am today without having the access to those resources. It was pretty organic when I started, but it's now being more formalized since they created the initiative Launch MN. And Christine, you're actually on the board of Launch MN. And so I just have to applaud all of you for what you're creating for us to make those connections to schools. And I know that it benefits everyone. Everybody wins in something like this. And so, you know, I watched the students grow, but we definitely grew from them. So we all, you know, have something to share. We all have something to learn, and we all have a story to tell. And definitely, I'm glad that you all are a part of our story. And I hope that we've made an influence into each one of your stories going forward. So with that, I'd ask if anybody else has anything else to share.
I'll just make a comment. One of the things I love hearing from the students is how they figured out both what they really enjoyed about their internship and learned about themselves, but also how they learned what they didn't want and what they don't want. And so to me, that's a really big win when you're figuring out early in your career what you like and what you don't like. That don't like is sometimes even more important. And then I just wanted to reiterate, Susan, not only how wonderful I think that the E1 ecosystem partnership has been for startup companies, but also for higher education. I know recently we had a marketing professor who had one of their clients drop, and they needed a project for their students. And it was one email out to the E1 group, and she probably had 5 or 6 phone calls from startups and entrepreneurs who are like, yes, I would love to have a marketing plan from your students. So I would really encourage all the entrepreneurs out there to connect with your local ecosystem, your local higher education accelerators. They know where the resources are that can help you move your company forward.
Well, I just want to add to that. You're absolutely right, Margaret. And don't be afraid to come to us to ask for help, because, you know, yes, there are some formal ways of doing things, and there are many informal ways of doing things, and we can figure it out and help you as much as possible. I mean, I'm learning, even at my old advanced age. You know, I'm learning that I've got to run an education program on the side to help those interns who come to me and say, hey, we need to have more information on X, Y, and Z because of our experience. So I just started an outside the box series with a lot of my interns, and just to help them develop new skills, so they, when they go back into the business, they have what they realized they didn't get enough of.
Great.
So one thing I'd just like to say, Susan, we talked about the E1 network, and that's in Southeast Minnesota, but through Launch MN, we have regional hubs and spokes. So whatever part of the state that people are in, they have a regional go-to organization under Launch Minnesota that they can reach out to that's connected to their local higher ed institutions as well. So there's one in St. Cloud, there's one up in Duluth, one in Bemidji. And so if people are in one of those places, I would encourage them to plug into whatever part of the network they're from, because we are all seeing value from it, I think, in our own region.
Is it launchmn.org? Is that the email? Because they've got a great resource directory also.
Yes.
That has all the regions on there too. So Christine, thank you so much for that. I also want to thank Casey Schultz and Kelly Brule for their help in this. I mean, this was an interesting platform to work on, but it really was an opportunity for us to share what we're doing and the unique aspect of bringing intergenerations together through collaboratives. So thanks so much. And thanks everybody for taking your time out of your day to join us. And that's the end.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you. We did it.